Alright, welcome back to the channel, guys. In today's episode, we're building some pipes for my Suzuki T500 two-stroke. So I got some plans out of an old Suzuki manual that gave me the dimensions for the pipe, rigged it out on paper. Then I got some sheet metal and a slip roller and started figuring it out. So started rolling some cones, had to get the layout on paper first just to make sure I wasn't just wasting a bunch of metal, and started cutting them out. So I would cut them out with a set of shears at first, and then I switched later on to my Milwaukee bandsaw, my M12 bandsaw that seemed to work the fastest, got me the most accurate cut with the smallest amount of cleanup afterwards. And then I had a chunk of, I believe that's 1.5 inch aluminum stock that I'd clamped down to the table as a heat sink that I would then TIG weld over for my butt joints for my cones. So here's one side completed, just straight without the header. So that's just the expansion chamber. The plans had a portion where you could build the header yourself, or you could just use the header off of the original exhaust pipe. So at first I chose to use the original exhaust pipe headers, but then later on decided to build my own headers. So here's the full expansion chamber, cut and welded out. Here's the two of them next to each other. I love that flag. Here are the plans that I had. If anybody needs these, feel free to reach out in the comments and I can send these over to you with some more detail if that's not coming through clear enough for you. And then I had to build my own header. So this was my pie cuts for the header, just kind of winging it. Never really done pie cuts before, so I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out. So that's the full exhaust. Since I had all of it already taped and put together, I just cut all the tape and then I'd magnet it up to my sheet metal and trace it. And I wanted to get as much of it just in one chunk of metal as possible, have essentially the smallest amount of waste. So I gave myself about a 1 inch barrier, a 1 inch gap between each piece. And I was doing each piece twice due to it being a twin cylinder. So I made sure to mark them so I knew how they went together chronologically when I was going to piece it all together. Some of these cones had some larger expansion, if you will. They were getting bigger and bigger in diameter, but if I didn't mark them, it'd be a little hard to keep track of where they were. If I could do this going back, it would be a little annoying, but I wish I would have marked the inside and rolled it backwards instead of marking the outside and rolling it forward, if you will. I just should have cleaned off the Sharpie once all was said and done before welding it. But yeah, went through again and just TIG welded these up on the aluminum bar. I'm just trying to use that again as a heat sink, trying not to blow through this. My TIG welder is a static TIG welder, so I don't have a foot pedal. So it is just on and hot, and it can get really easy to blow through. I could weld most everything in the center. It was when I was getting to the end of each piece that I'd want to melt and blow out. So not the prettiest curved header, but there we have it. It's all together and on the bike now. And the last part coming up is going to be our muffler. A couple more pictures of it hanging up. I got some cheap mufflers off of Amazon and just connected those at the end. I took them and angled them up a little bit. Otherwise, they would have been sticking out behind the tire a little bit too far. And I wanted the tire to be the furthest thing back. So I took them and just pitched up the muffler a little bit, and here's the sound of them riding. They gave the bike a lot more pingy of a noise, and it sounds pretty good, looks pretty good, so there we are. Thanks for watching, guys.